most important. That's very important. But I got the opportunity to talk to this young lady who stayed back. She went to Tall Oaks and made up the credits, and now she's graduating early. Now I don't know how she did that, but she came to us and she was like, I like to stay, but I gotta go because I'm I gotta do my exit meeting. Young lady, kind of doubted herself because I asked her, I said, well, what you want to do when you graduate? She was like, well, I think I want to do nursing. I said, is that it? She was like, yeah, well, I don't know. I said, well, the good thing about it is you got time. You got time on your hands, but don't waste it. And she was like, well, I'm not. I just don't know whether or not I'm built for other areas. And I'm like, oh, stop. Shorty, you built for whatever you think you built for. And I provided them with that website, Coursera. And I had the police on it. Like, you mean we can take classes for free? I'm like, yeah. Or you could pay $40 and grab them Jones. You can learn about AI. You can learn about psychology. You can learn about whatever your field of choice is. And they was like, wow, I ain't never know nothing about this. But I'm saying that to say that we was able to bounce ideas off of each other and actually grow. And me and you talked about it after it was over and I was on the way home, Alexander, like you and Theodore, you and Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm thinking uptown. You and Eleanor Roosevelt making an impactful difference with the people in your school, and y'all went to the theater to watch the movie Just Mercy the other day. So tell the audience about that experience, man, because I'm sorry that I missed it because I had the opportunity to watch a movie with Eleanor Roosevelt, and them kids up there, they not playing, they hungry. Alexander, you with us or you stuck?
Look frozen.
Yeah, he looked frozen. But so the other day, Alexander is in charge of this internship program up Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm not gonna tell everything, Gene, but them kids up there, they hungry, man. They hungry for leadership. He took another dude up there that we know that just came home after doing, I think Slim did 17 years.
Oh, yeah.
And they was loving the fact that they had the opportunity to interact with somebody that had gone through what he had gone through. And me and you, we hold these conversations as well about, I'm gonna say, missed opportunities or opportunities that other people don't want us to know about. And when I see people like this young lady, or I see a dude that running up and down the basketball court today with a box on his leg, but when I'm talking to him, he telling me, man, I got dreams and I got goals and I wanna accomplish this, and I like what you was talking about because this ain't the end road for me, I'm like, wow. Shorty was 18.
I was just about to ask how old was
he? Was 18. And I can honestly say at 18, that wouldn't even have been a part of my conversation. Because the only thing I was trying to do was figure out how I could sell more of an illicit product. That was my goal. That was my end game. That was my start game. So when engaging with these young people and they understand the power of the tool that they have in their hand, which is their cell phone, and how they can engage on many different levels outside of what you and I could when we was coming up, because we had to open up the encyclopedia just to find out what somebody wanted us to know, because that's what was in our house. But these kids, they can go everywhere, man. So
how many kids was it?
It was roughly about 45 to 50 children in there today. Young adults. I ain't gonna call them children.
Young adults.
Young adults.
So 17 up.
From 15 to 19.
Okay.
And they was disciplined, they listened, they asked questions, they engaged. When I asked about the technology pathway, there were a few of them that raised their hand, many of them didn't. And I said to them, I said, well, if you thought about raising your hand, but you didn't want to seem like, you know, you was the first one that was going to raise your hand, trust and believe you're not the only one in the room feeling like that. I said, but if you don't raise your hand, it's like a closed mouth. You're not going to get fed. So if for whatever reason you doubting yourself, you don't have to. But understand that the first one that jump at the opportunity might be the one that had to loan everybody else in this room money.
Right.
Because you gonna put the game plan together and they're gonna be sitting on the fence telling me, oh man, I should have got with that.
How many females in there too, right?
Female students or female officers?
Female students.
Female students, it probably was around 10, 15 female students.
Were they interested as well?
Yep. They sure was. Like all of them was, for real. You know, I've go ahead.
What kind of curriculum are they interested in, Jones? Did you talk about ED maintenance?
We talked about all that, and yeah, crazy because even one of the police officers told me, man, I want to learn about them drones myself. But yeah, they was interested in it. They just wanted to know how they can go about assessing the information so they can make a choice.
Right.
So what I did was I talked to Corporal Boone about, you know, how we can best situate this opportunity for them. So he and I are going to engage further on it because he like, man, I like that. And I even told him, like, listen, we can do a day trip and take these youngsters in court so they can sit back and take notes as opposed to being a defendant in front of the judge or having a misunderstanding about what actually take place in court or, you know, getting it from somebody else. You can go in there and get a feel for the courtroom. You can get a feel for how the judge talks to people and interact, or, you know, you can meet the SA, you can meet the ASA, the public defenders, and those type of people. So they was excited about that, man. Like they like, yeah, that's nice. You know what I'm saying?
So basically, we need to set up a channel or pipeline where, because if any of them struggling with reading and comprehension and budget and math and all that stuff,
I'm sure they are. But you know, on my first interaction with them, we didn't go into that as a whole because you understand some of them jokers might not feel comfortable.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So that's like a one-on-one situation.
Right. If they got 50 over there, so how many schools like that do we have in Prince George's County?
That's a good question. Yeah,
that's the meat of it right there. The river. If you get those, the others will follow, right?
Yep. I feel like entering that school today was the opportunity to open up the door for other avenues. And granted, we going in late, you know, because school about to wind down, but we put ourselves in position for next year when they open back up. But it's real critical that we can get that program going this summer to make some things happen just to keep the name out there.
Right. Yeah, Rick already got a curriculum and everything. Or we got a curriculum already?
We got one, but he got one too.
Which one are we going to use?
Whichever one sound best.
Right.
I mean, his got legs. You understand? His is doing what it need to do.
Right. Got age on it too.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I think that's good. That's great. That's excellent. That's it's a shame that we can't get the same support from the top down, but we can also kind of utilize this process to put a stakehold and how we can support in this area where they're not giving us support in this area. We got to do it on our own. I don't know how many people listening, but it's going to take a group effort, grassroots. If you know somebody, they know somebody that's interested in changing their career. It don't have to be a kid at having issues. It could be an adult who just want to change their career because that's just what you need, right? And I think that the good thing is that people are open more now before, because we had a lot of people get their minds closed and not interested in learning anything new. And the system is changing. It's changing at every 3 seconds is changing because AI changes like that, right? So if it changes that fast, we got to be on top of it. And we are already 15 years behind, 20 years behind. So reach out. I don't know if you got the number or whatever in there. Contact information on the which card that we could have people reach out and say, hey, look, I'm trying to sign up one way or another. Because eventually we're going to have a space where it's going to be just, that's what that piece of that space is going to be. This is where you're going to come, right? Cybersecurity, whatever that is, you want to be on the cutting edge. We can't have 9 out of 10 talking about they're going to be barbers, you know?
Right.
So we got to utilize. I seen a drone and drone. I think it was in Japan or China, and it was a fireproof drone, and they took it into a fire. So guess what? You can see if anybody else in there without the fireman having to go in there. You know, and especially how we, when we took that training, that you can set it up where everything close to keep from bumping into anything, right? So if it's fireproof, then cool. It could go right through the entire house without having to lose any lives. Hopefully you're good enough to fast enough to go in there and see if anybody in there or not. But there's plenty of opportunities here. It's at a baby stage, so any of this stuff is a baby stage to get in there and learn it.
Gotcha. Yeah, sure. Just listening to what you're saying and tying it into some of the things that me and Alexander be talking about when it come to these opportunities for these young people. The exposure is critical. The timing is like never before. And we are too small of an organization at this moment to be able to impact as many people that need what we're offering.
Right.
And sadly to say that coming out the gate, you got so many, I ain't even gonna say naysayers, but individuals feel like the products that they're offering is the best products when some of it is so outdated that it's laughable. Like the reason that outside of the mental health and the unresolved traumas, some of these kids let me know today that, I want to learn something different. I want to learn something that's life changing. And I'm saying, well, you need to engage with a different set of scenarios in order to get something different.
Right.
When you pick up your phone, you can't keep on searching or looking at the same stuff that you already know about.
Facts.
The same risk. Yeah, I told him, I said every day to do little stupid stuff that can get you in trouble is the same risk that you can take to venture out in a space that you are so uncomfortable in, but take your time and gradually learn what it has to offer.
What's crazy? I sent you. Oh, go ahead, my bad.
And you know, one of the little youngins up in there, he was like, you know what? That makes sense. That make a lot of sense. He said, because I can plot like 30 minutes, 40 minutes of what to do wrong, but I don't want to give school 5 minutes about what to do right.
And he had to think about that. Somebody, you had to trigger him to make him think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and I emphasized, I said, man, I'm 59. Y'all up in this joint like 18. I said, I can remember sitting where you are, but I can remember not paying attention, wasn't trying to hear what nobody had to say. And as a result of that, I made things harder for myself.
So tell me how you did. What was your process when you came out to be successful as a business owner?
From prison?
Yeah, because one thing is that you went into the belly of the beast, but you came out with a plan. You came out with a strategy. You came out and did things that people who never went and they weren't even doing when they went to college and they didn't do half of what you did.
Well, one of the things that made me want to be a business owner was the fact that I had gave up my freedom, and I sat in prison allowing somebody to tell me what to do for as long as they would allow me to do it. And when I was released, I didn't want to experience that anymore. Like, I didn't want to have to be somewhere where somebody told me I needed to be at the time they told me I needed to be. And I don't know if you want to call it overconfident or what, but I just felt like my record was going to prevent me from getting the type of salary that I felt like I deserved. When in fact, in a lot of ways, I wasn't even prepared to be in the working world. So I had to create my own lane. So when I was given the opportunity to start in the tow truck industry, it was like that came easy. You're working with your hands. And while I had to navigate the highways and understand money and things like that, I kind of got a head start from when I started selling drugs in the street anyway. So I always had my hands on money.
It was just the paperwork you had to know.
Yeah. And so transitioning over to all of the other businesses that I've had that you're aware of, it was kind of like when I got tired of one, there was another one. When I got tired of that, there was another one. But I always felt like, and I told Corporal Boone today, I mean, because you did my taxes. I made really, really good money, but I wasn't satisfied with what I was doing. I didn't look forward to getting up every day, hugging a steering wheel or driving 2-3 hours to get a car, even though it offered me a lifestyle that a lot of people who had 9-to-5s didn't have. So now, while I don't make the type of money that I used to make, I enjoy what it is that, we involved in right now, because we have the opportunity to impact lives on a level that when I had my trucks, I mainly impacted my family lives. And, you and I know how that went south. So,
but what was your mental strategy? Like, how would you, like, you're in the middle of the fight, right? You know what I'm saying? It's the bell just rang. It's time to start. It's just you swinging. you had to come up with a strategy from that, coming home and mapping out a what was going through your mind at that time. What was you, was you thinking that you didn't have enough time? Was you thinking that you didn't have support? Like, how did you feel like you was by yourself?
Well, I had the support from my parents, and then at the time, my then wife at the time was supportive of me coming out the gate. So it wasn't like, I had to figure out where I was going to live or how I was going to eat. All I really had to do was implement a game plan that could take me from where I came out and where I wanted to go. And
Right.
again, just relying on the wit that I had from the streets. The hustle was nothing. You know what I'm saying? Putting together the plan and the strategy to buy my first home, or to buy that next piece of equipment. It was kind of like the same strategy I used when I had to, set aside a certain amount of money for the re-up. You always got to have something to put with what you're making in order to keep being out there, keep being relevant. So I fell back on the same skills that I had prior to going to prison. And when I got back, we was involved in real estate, and I honestly thought that was going to take off so that I wouldn't have to go back into the streets. Well, we know how that went, but at any rate, I took something from that and I put it towards what I already had. And then 5 years later, I put myself in position to have 3 houses up Baltimore. So for me, it was all about the next thing. I don't know what it was at the time, but it was the next thing to build on for a future that I was trying to create, because I knew without having that 9 to 5 that I wasn't going to have no 401k or no social security or any of those things that other people get to rely on. So,
but what was the challenges like? What paperwork? What was the challenges that say for a brother come home tomorrow and he said he wants to start his own company, but he was street the whole time. So what does he got to look forward to as those challenges that you had? I'm saying, you got the mentality to hustle, so that's cool, right? But it's now it's papers. It's paperwork now. It's not just grind.
Well, for those who are savvy enough to understand basic arithmetic or understand basic English or verbiage, they got half the battle beat. Because if you didn't read while you was in, you did yourself a disservice. If you did read while you was in, then you'll understand that, starting a business, it don't take a lot. It ain't rocket science. You don't have to pay nobody to do it. But if you aren't savvy enough, then my suggestion is you get around people that you see doing things that you want to do. You ask questions, you follow their lead to a certain degree, you add what they're doing, you add what you got going on, and you make it happen. So I can't honestly say, Gene, that, for me, I had to grind up money. I had to grind up the type of money that I felt was necessary for me to do what it was that I needed. Paperwork wasn't an issue because I was an avid reader. I'm a lifetime learner. And what I didn't know, I don't never have a problem asking nobody. But I watched my parents struggle. Or shall I say, I thought it was a struggle because it wasn't happening fast enough for me. But my mother retired right now and make over $100,000. So her game plan and my game plan was different. but I just didn't have the patience to see what she saw. Now, in today's time, you know, you're not gonna work on the same job for 30 years. It's not even designed for that.
Right.
But for those that are coming home today and they want to start their own business, they definitely have to go about it with a vengeance. Like, you got to be laser focused. I would say foresee the relationship, forego the relationship, the friends, you know what I'm saying? Not unless they helping you build the catching up and all of that type of stuff.
Right. So you left that alone.
That's
you didn't even go back to that, huh?
the way I went wrong. Those were the.
Oh, so when you came home, you actually did go back to what you knew, who you knew, and do all that stuff.
You know, the females was a problem for me. I should have used my time more constructively.
But you know, you kind of go back to what you used to.
We had some temporary difficult. Oh, I'm still some decisions that I made, which wasn't to my benefit.
Right. Yeah, I mean, well, it's normal to go back to what you know.
It's about staying focused, man.
Right, focus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's the same way. So I didn't do the same thing, right? So, but I went to college. Go ahead. Can you hear me?
You went out on me, Gene. You went out on me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, based on what you were saying, same as for you. I mean, I didn't spend time in, but going to college and trying to figure out where my next dollar was going to come from, and then having to stay focused and to finish school when I really didn't want to be there. You know, I was just like, I can't go that way. I can't go that way. I can't, you know, working in a warehouse. And I said, you know what? I can't, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I just saw myself saying, you know what? At 20 years old, at 40 years old, I don't want to do this. I said, okay, I gotta go back to school. I gotta stay in school, you know? And that's the only reason why I was able to even get out. You know, staying focused on that. And my roommate from college, we came in the same time, and he was finished before me. And I was ready to drop out then. And I was like, he was like, man, you ain't got but a year. I said, yeah, a year go fast. Okay, cool. So he talked me into it, and I stayed in there and knocked that next year out. You know, but I wanted to drop out. Just had to stay focused.
You know, here you are, a few years younger than me, and you got what I want. And I know that I can still make money or create revenue streams without a bachelor's degree or without a master's degree, because I've been doing it for 30 plus years. But for having a degree is like, it's just like on my bucket list. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I want a degree and I want to jump out a plane. Those are the two things that I have to have in order to say I've done the things that matter the most to me.
Right.
I bought a brand new house. I've had many cars, brand new, used, whatever. Been on vacations. I've seen things that when I was incarcerated I never thought I would see. So again, for me, that that degree, man, I want that. I want that to say that, not to say that I got it, but just to say to myself, you did it.
Right. Yeah, it's that's pretty much what it boiled down to, because it just really you in it, but you don't know what it's really saying is that you have the ability to complete something, start something, complete it. You know, and you people change their majors.
Correct.
Some people go to 4 or 5 different universities before they finally graduate. You know, some say 10 years to get out.
Yeah, yeah. You know,
But
I just completed the P2P preparatory college class, and the guy that started that joint off was a drug dealer. Now he is a adjunct professor at Howard.
mm,
His dad, I think he said his dad died from diabetes, so that like motivated him to come out and become a doctor. And while they won't let him actually operate on people because of his incarcerated background, he has the ability to train the doctors that can operate on them.
oh, okay, that's what's up.
So yeah, yeah. So I just think about how focused he was when he came home, and he let nothing stop him from accomplishing those goals. And I think you kind of faded out on me when you asked about, you know, some of the problems or some of the issues and things. And I alluded to the fact that I wasted a lot of time. You know, I should have been more focused because of what I had gone through. Because when I left Fort Dix in 1996, I had a 3.0 in college. But when I got out here in society and the phone started ringing and people was excited about me being back home, and I had the girl that had been waiting on me for 8.5 years and all of that type of stuff, man, I ain't gonna say I lost my mind, but I lost my focus. Because
Right.
I should have went straight and gotten in the community college, finished getting them credits, and then got that other degree at another school.
Mm-hmm.
I had the time,
Right.
and I had the finance.
And you started. Most people don't even start. Hey,
Right,
I understand.
right.
Hey.
So when I look at my transcript from college, I'm like, hey, now you was in there.
Mm-hmm.
You was in there. And
Wow.
then, you know, I'm around all of these formerly incarcerated individuals that had the opportunity to get their degree while they was incarcerated. I didn't have that because the first 4 years I was in, they didn't have no college. The only thing you could do is get a certificate for something. So when I finally
Mm-hmm.
make it a prison that allows you to get college, that's when they was like, your case, your charge is overturned. You go home. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, what? You know, as happy as a joker is to go home, but I'm like, man, I'm in school, I'm doing good. And I just didn't have the fortitude to come home and continue it because I got caught up in worldly things.
So tell me what you think about this. I sent it to you in IG. They had some youngins that was inside, and they was talking about 3 youngins talking
Mm-hmm.
about how much time between the 3 of them, and they said that if you got them burners, they giving hundreds of years, and out of the 3 of them, they got 312 years. One
Yeah,
got
I'm looking at
55
it right now.
years. One got 70 something, 80, 88 years. Another one got 100 and something years. Because they out there, look, but people don't understand. Society does not want to have confrontation when people just want to go to work, come home, go have a party, go have a drink, come home, and then eventually the courts are going to say, you know what? How are we going to get the people to where they ain't got to worry about that anymore? Oh, give them 100 some years.
Dude,
100.
man, I'm losing you. The
You
signal is
losing
getting
me?
weak.
Oh, man. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Nope. There you go. I think that's it.
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
I can hear you now.
Yeah. I think it's look like you had
Yes.
frozen for a second.
Yes.
But they not playing anymore.
I can hear you.
They not playing with this. People don't understand when it's time when it gets bad, they make a change. They don't just state it like it used to be. You know, court system change it, politicians change.
Right.
You're gonna stay that
way. You know, what happened to me shouldn't have happened to me. I had no reason carrying guns or even thinking that I needed to carry a gun, because what people don't understand is drugs sell themselves. You don't need a gun to sell drugs. You don't even need a gun to protect you, because if you're going to get robbed, you're going to get robbed, whether you got the gun or not.
You ain't got time for
it. The gun give you more time on the charge, because I actually got more time for the 2 guns I had than the drugs I had, because they knew that the gun charges was going to stick. Right. So they allowed me to be down on the drugs, but people don't understand that.
Right.
And like I told the youngins today, I was like, many of y'all get caught up with guns and don't even use them. And you don't even know how to shoot them, because nobody never took you to a range or open field or anything to teach you how to shoot. So that's why innocent bystanders be getting killed, because y'all think y'all know how to shoot, but you don't. So yeah, I'm looking at that you sent me with these youngers with the 312 years, and that's sad. Unfortunately sad, because these dudes look like they either in their 20s or their early 30s. And it's not as if they didn't know.
Right.
Or they didn't know somebody that was gone to jail behind the same scenarios that they dealing with right now. It's just that they had to learn the hard way, just like I did.
And for real, they might have been the first ones to even receive a sentence like that. Now you the first one. You quasi in.
Yeah, they had to have some other scenarios to stack on with them gun charges to be getting 60 and 70 years. Had to. But when and I say when people out in them streets committing them crimes, they negate to even try to find out what's waiting for them in them law books. And it's free. You can go down to the court buildings and look it up. What's going to happen if I get caught with a gun? What's going to happen if I get caught with a gun and some drugs? What's going to happen if I carjack somebody? You know, all of the things that you committing crimes, but you committing them for real maliciously on yourself, because the information is there.
Right. So that limited thinking is really a group of guys all thinking the same way in a circle that just can't shake that, and they buy into that, and that becomes your habit.
Right.
Now you can't. You don't even see anything else. You don't even think about anything else. Can't nobody even tell you to think about something else.
You know, I use the young and Geo as an example. Like Geo come up like any other youngin' out there in the street. You know, mother may be struggling, single mom home. He in the streets, it's not going nowhere. He still press it. Then he catch a gun charge. Fortunately for him, they allow him to get into this diversion program. Then Alexander get into his life. Then I get into his life. And we talking. Man, now Geo got a supervisor position with this company called Elevated Wellness and doing all the things that he never thought he could do just by saying enough is enough. I no longer want to be a part of the problems. I want to be a part of the solution. And I don't want to be a follower. I want to be a leader. And that's the problem. You know, that right there is the problem when it start with the music, it start with the movies, it start with the TV, and young people see it and they want to emulate it.
The ego.
Yeah. You know, these jokers, the rappers with the chains and the tattoos. And I ain't saying something wrong with it, but what I'm saying is if you're not making the millions and millions of dollars that you think they making off of it, then stop trying to emulate that stuff.
Sure, I would say,
you know, in our time, it was Tony Montana. Everybody wanted to be Tony Montana because you saw,
right.
You know, you saw he was getting money.
Man,
but what happened at the end of the movie?
That was a setup. That was a setup.
Yeah.
That was set up. That was a straight setup. For real. Shit. I mean, how many of these kids or even young adults have somebody they can actually lean on for questions? You know, somebody got to come from out of your circle to ask the questions as a resource to be able to think differently. And then there's peer pressure, then there's ego, then it's not even knowing what a man really is, that you think you're a man based on your number. You got a lot of X's and O's in there, you know, that's not really adding up.
You know, I asked a female police officer today, because you know we all in the mentoring space. I said, why you didn't become a teacher? You know, you in here with these young ladies anyway. She said the reason that I couldn't become a teacher is because these kids today don't have no respect for nobody. They quick to tell you what they won't do. And then if you tell them what they need to do or you try to check them, then the parents come up to the schools and act like a fool. She said, you know, parents come up to the school with the gun. I'm like, wow. So she said, in this space, I can be a mentor, but I got a gun. Because sometimes you necessarily might need your gun. And I'm like, wow, you gotta have a gun just for the kids to want to do the right thing, or just to protect yourself from the kids' parents who think they can come up to the school and just go off on you because they feel like they can. So the system is just so, man, it's just so tore up that it's like you always fighting against somebody to try to do the right thing for these young people out here. And, you know, we talk about it. We talk about the politics. And one of the things that you and I agree that it ain't for everybody, because you got to sell your soul in order. Let me take that back. You don't have to sell your soul. You choose to make some decisions based on what you feel is right for you. So, and when you got the politicians, the entertainment lane, the parents that ain't ready to be parents, the grandmother that already then raised her kids, but gotta raise her kids. Like it's just a chain link of failure for these young people, and not enough people like ourselves trying to ingrain positive thoughts or productive activities for them. Like we outnumbered, man. But that's why I tell Alexander all the time, you know, once we get in, like we not gonna be out of business. We not gonna be out of business because people are always going to need these type of services. They're gonna need these type of energies, man.
I really think the system works as designed.
Good to have you back, man. And see you was moving around out there. So,
oh yeah, very.
I think so too, Gene.
I was in a meeting, so
I think so too.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same token, we can chip away, like we can save some people. I mean, the overall majority, we're not gonna be able to grab. You know, there's some people just gonna fall up under that area where we can't touch them. You know, the powers at B is just too strong. But if we can save 1 or 2, 3 or 4, you know, I'm seeing it. Me and Alexander, we seeing it. You see it when you go to places and people is just doing good things and productive activities are happening. We can't win them all. We can't swing for the fence and get home runs all the time.
Right. Yeah. What's going on, Alexander?
Hey man, very productive conversation, man. Just came out of a very good meeting that is going to affect all of us positively in regards to school-wise. Because you know, I'm at Roosevelt, and you know, a lot of people be thinking that's just bougie and there ain't nothing going on, and you know, but wherever we are, there's problems. You know, when we look at Potomac High School, they got 49% truancy rate. How? And you know, and there's a lot of bread going towards that type of that, you know, down on that side of the county to help them people out. But when you have the lesser schools and you just don't have the funds to take care of everybody's truancy issue. Nadia is considered at one of the worst schools because that's an alternative school. And, they there because of truancy, fighting, and everything else. So it's funny how I got one of the best schools in the county. He got one of the worst. But they got us there, and we tag team in this situation, and you know, we're winning.
Right.
And that's a wonderful thing and a blessing.
Yeah.
And, the fact that brother and I, we're good. We're not competing against each other because there's a lot of competition for no reason. For no reason. We can work with each other. We can do more together.
Capitalism means that we need to always compete.
Bro, these jokers ain't getting nothing.
Yeah. No, but since first grade, we've been competing just with grades. Like, just pass me. You ain't gotta say, "Oh, I got a 90, I got a 70." You're promoting competition to always compete, not to support.
Right.
This is the system.
Yeah.
You know. So we competing, and we 40, 30 years old. We competing about who got the best shoes or best girlfriend or best job. You know, that's the system.
I'm just grateful to be meeting brothers, man, that we don't have to compete, but we can work together to overcome a lot of the situation because we all got an expertise and gifts and talents that when we put them together, we're unstoppable. And that's one of the greatest things of all, to be able to collaborate and understand that, man, work in your gift, work in your talents. I'm glad that you were never locked up. Why would I wanted to see you locked up as many years as I've been? Much less go to jail. Why? Right. That don't even make no sense. That means I need to be examined. You know what I mean? So I'm glad Nadia didn't do the time I did. I'm happy that he didn't. He learned what he needed to know. You know, I just was on the slow bus. More hard-headed than everybody else. You know, and I can accept that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I
Hey,
deserve
it wasn't for me not trying. That's for sure. I was trying. I just got lucky. I was trying to get a lifetime sentence. I just got lucky.
Oh
Right,
man.
right.
But
Yeah.
you know, we run across people that compete with that, and it's like, bro, we're glad that you went to college. I'm glad that you got a master's degree. I'm glad you got a doctorate. Now, can we get past that so I can do what I do, so you can help them do what they need to do? My goal is to get them to understand their identity. Your goal
Right.
is to help them fulfill their destiny.
Mhm.
And a lot of us, we get the roles mixed up. We here to save the people from going to hell, and it's for the others to go ahead and take them to that level so they can build heaven on earth within their own homes and families. So, you know, I congratulate all the teams out there that are working together to make this mission happen.
Yeah, and it's gonna take a lot
Right.
of us for sure.
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot.
Definitely.
Mhm.
But like I told you, when I walked up in that school today, man, I just felt like I was in my zone. I felt like I had something to offer. They was willing to listen to me. They was engaged. They wanted to you know, man, it was crazy. We was outside on the basketball court, and some of the guys was playing basketball, but it was about maybe 20 or so people sitting on the bleachers, and we was engaging like I was one of their teachers or something. And that right there says that, you know, they'll listen.
They want
They'll
change.
listen to somebody that's saying something that they want to hear. But if you're trying to force them to learn something they ain't interested in, they're gonna tune you out.
But
Right.
think about what you had. You know, you dropped a jewel. They wasn't worried about you being locked up. They was trying to figure out, you know, about your children being successful, which showed at them that even though they parents been incarcerated, that doesn't mean that they can't be successful.
Right.
Because you said you had 4 children to go to college. Man, that is amazing. So
Well, one of them decided not to go, but he was a business owner. He a business owner.
okay, but he's successful
Other
as a
3
human
went.
being. And you know, but the thing is, bruh, that's success. That gave them hope because some of them was thinking it's impossible. Now they say I am possible.
Right.
So you represented that. They didn't care nothing about you doing time. They cared about, man, your children made it. How did you do this? Because they looking for wisdom in that level.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Because you look successful. You got your own business. So, you know, that's amazing. You gave them a whole different perspective. And not everybody can give them that perspective.
That's for sure.
Yeah, that's a father moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. Resource moment too.
Yeah, resource moment. There's not a lot of brothers that come home are fathers.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then to be able to be respected and loved, and now still showing growth and development in himself, that it didn't stop. So he's still being an example.
Right.
That's a hell of a thing.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I got to congratulate brother on that. I'm real proud of brother for that, Joe. That's me.
And for them to see that.
Absolutely. So
you know,
that's hopeful. Yeah.
Yeah. They recognized it.
Yeah, man. Them kids made me feel good. Like the officer was like, man, you gotta go. I was like, nah, I can hang. You know what I'm saying? Because I need to see what it is that I'm needed for. I mean, I can tell it to anybody all day long, but when you actually engaging with these young people and they want you to stay around, then you must be doing something right.
Ain't nothing like a million questions from young people.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't yes you off. They didn't turn their back. They didn't like, oh man, look at this old dude. Nah, they ain't do none of that.
Nah,
and
they ain't do none of that.
When you get the attention of the young people and you talking some good stuff, not that nonsense, telling them war stories, bruh, that's a moment. And what you showed them people today, that's what they've been missing. They needed a piece that had the lived experience to be able to tell them young people, man, don't look at life like this. Just because your parents did this and this and this, you still got hope. You still can go to college. You can still go to those vocational schools. You can still do this, this, and this and be successful. Brother, that's priceless.
Yeah, I told him prison is not a badge of honor. I don't care how it's glamorized in the communities.
No, it sure ain't. That's a fool's end.
Fact.
Meeting that you had, if you can just share a little bit with us, just to get a people idea of what it is that behind the scenes we do when we not on the microphone.
Who you talking to?
So I said, what was the outcome of the meeting this evening? Without going into great detail, but you could just share with the people of what it is that we do, the work that we do when we not on the podcast.
Well, you know, I'm getting ready to crank up that internship with some of them college students, and I just solidified with the folks, some of those high school students as well.
Okay.
And so that's major. You know what I mean? To elevate them and to give them that restorative piece. Did you know that PG County schools are supposed to have a restorative justice piece within them?
Not until you told me today.
Yeah, and they don't have that. A lot of them don't. But I have been doing that in Roosevelt. You've been, you know, the officers been doing it to a degree, but now they see some of that. We just started that today.
How long has it been in there?
This year. And so, you know, next year is supposed to be there, but you already ahead now, dear. And you know, I'm well ahead. I've been bringing judges into the school and everybody. So, you know, they've been seeing a lot of stuff. And, bruh, this is so necessary, man, because this is a part of the healing of the community.
But you got to get the community more involved because they don't think that they're affected.
You know, not every school, a lot of schools read the book Just Mercy. They don't show the movie. That visual is deep. That visual will bring it out you. That visual, man, I done cried. Every time I done seen that movie, I done dropped some tears, bro.
That's the lawyer movie, right? That's a
with Michael B. Jordan?
Yeah, okay.
When I was young, man, I could kill concrete. Now I'm soft as, man, hot nail toilet tissue. I said, man, I done regained my humanity and got all sensitive.
Hey, Gene, tell him what you told me about the dude that asked about him.
Oh, somebody's played basketball with you at Roosevelt. Because I grew up in Whitfield, and he said,
was it blue? The funny, did he have funny colored eyes?
Nah, Rob, Big Rob.
Okay.
And he was like, he said, nah, he can't be on the street right now. I said, yeah, no, he is. He helping like a motherfucker. He helping. He keep me giving back like crazy, even up in Roosevelt. He said, wow. He said, I guarantee you, he was gone forever. You know. I see him do some things that say, whoa. You know, I said, yeah, he not that same person no more. And sometimes you gotta go through that fire to get that to that person. You know?
See, now that goes to a point. Remember a long time ago, we talked about when I first came home and dudes remembered everything I was doing. And the question, and they looking at you like, oh, hell no.
Right.
Ain't no way. And I said, man, that is sad because next year I'll be 60. When we talking about events that I was doing at 15, 16, 17, and this dude, when talking to you, we are all, me and Slim are the same age, and he still think I ain't grown up to that type of dude.
Yeah, right. Right, like nobody changed for 30 years. Like, okay, no, that's not right. But there's some people that never changed.
That's true.
Yes.
But you know what I mean? And I'm not upset because my wife told me, she said, look, that's what you left them with.
Yeah, right. Facts.
You left them with your retarded ass. You was retarded.
The last visual. Hey, look, the last visual wasn't a good visual, right?
Now you want to be all good. Change your life.
I told the kids I had to reinvent myself a lot of times, including since leaving Baltimore and moving down here in PG and Waldorf. I've had to reinvent myself again. And so the people that see me today think or would say, oh, nah, that can't be Nadir. But I also tell people, you know, depend on who tell the story. And now that I have the opportunity to reinvent myself, I'm going to roll with it. I'm going to take full advantage of it. And it doesn't matter what people from my past that's not helping me build out my current network and build out my brand. It don't matter what they think about me or feel about me. All I look, my favorite slogan, go kick rocks. And I hope you hurt your foot while you're doing
it. Right. But you know, you was at 10. You was at just a number. When everybody knew you was at 10. And you are now at 20, 30. And they still think you're at 10 because they're still at 10.
Absolutely.
Right.
Or they might be at 11. They haven't grown anywhere past. You talking about since you've been home, you done been out of the country, you done seen the world, right? I'm not talking about one time. He talking about he was in Chicago. The next day he was in Vegas. I'm like, what?
You know what? I talked to a dude that just came home after doing 40 years. And he said, Alexander, I went around the way and, you know, a couple of dudes looked out for me. But he said, I had to stay away from the other dudes because, man, I'm almost 70. And them dudes are still doing the same things we was doing when I was 20 before I got locked up.
No growth, zero growth.
And I said, wow. He said, you know, he said, bro, I couldn't even be around that type of foolishness because I'm like, man, you still the same dude from when I remember when we was getting in trouble. You still doing the same thing. And, you know, me and Nadir talked about it. I still know dudes that still smoke boat. And I'm like, how? How?
Right.
You know, how are you still alive? Now they look as old as God, but you know what I mean, because they look some rough looking jokers.
Dead man walking.
Oh my God, they look some rough looking jokers. But man, I'm like, how can you still do that stuff, man? Wow. Because I'm like, bruh, no sir. And like me and Nadir said, I'm almost 60. They say we live. You know, average American male lives to 76, 78 years old. Black men, because of their health and all of the foolishness and the stressors, die at 68 and 71. I said, well, you know, I ain't living like that, and I'm in pretty good health still. A little fat, but I'm still in pretty good health. I still do a little something.
Right.
I got nothing but 16 summers. I don't have time to argue with anybody.
Right. Ain't got time for it.
But you do got to cut down on them 32-ounce large Pepsi Cola drinks that you drink every time you order in your food, though. You definitely got to cut them out to diet, bro.
That's true. I'll admit that, you know, that was my fat moment.
What we gonna do is we gonna keep on pushing the narrative so nobody else can control it for us. You know, we got all three of us got things that people might think or say about us when we was young that's clearly not who we are today. And you know, we just sit back and think about like where we are today and where we was 10, 15 years ago. And believe it or not, bros, we light year ahead of them. And the reason I say that is because of the things that we talk about. You know, we talk about trying to make a difference. We talk about impact. We talk about businesses. I don't have time to sit around and talk about nothing else with nobody else. And, you know, Gene, look, me and Gene been knowing each other since 1996 and probably only been over each other's house prior. We talk all day long, but we ain't got time to be just sitting around, as Gene say, bojangling. Like, we don't have time for that.
All right, that's for sure.
That's our time, bros. I always appreciate y'all hanging out with me. We gotta wind this joint down. It's a pleasure talking to y'all, and we always gonna present the real conversations from real people so that they can follow us. Y'all keep showing up for us. We're gonna keep showing up for y'all. What y'all want to close it out with?
Man, focus on your blessings, man, and continue to elevate.
Right. If you feel like you're in quicksand,
you want to close it out with?
If you feel like you're in quicksand, it's because you're not growing.
Well, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. I seen a young man today that had a box on his ankle, and he said, "This is not who I am. This is just what I got into, and I'm gonna keep on thriving." And that man, 18 years old, and met the officer that got me into the school today. Met him while he was in DOC. Now that man's showing up and showing out. So that's all I gotta say. Y'all keep showing up for us. We're gonna keep showing up for y'all. We catch y'all next week, Thursday, same time.
Peace.
Pushing through the resistance, standing on success. The game I learned to finesse. I learned the keys to success. My skills is polish. Real wealth is knowledge. I didn't go to college. BOP University is pride in individuality. Encourage creativity.